What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's the FPL Watchlist for Game Week 3. So I'm going to go through a bunch of players that I've got my eye on over for this week or in the coming weeks to bring into my team. And there's a lot of options. Like I said last week, after Game Week 2, we'd have a whole host of different conversations to be had because there'd be more players that did well. We'd want them in our team, and it's difficult, right? There's loads of options. So I'm going to go through them in just a second. Apologies for no stream last night. I had internet issues. They seem to be fixed, so I'll stream tonight instead. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, and let's jump into it. Okay, let's talk about the big dog, Romelu Lukaku, right? Everybody has been talking about him for what feels like weeks. Even in pre-season, it was a case of, should I have Lukaku? When do I bring Lukaku in? How am I going to get Lukaku in? Forgetting that like Salah and Fernandes are also pretty good as well. But obviously now the panic is real because he's played now for Chelsea. He scored in his first game. I mean, he's only scored one goal, by the way. He's still behind Neil Maupay on the goal scoring charts, right? He was on 2. But he looked good, right? Let's not beat around the bush. He looked brilliant. I mean, putting up an expected goals of 1.44 in one match is pretty damn good. It's not often that players get that many kind of high quality chances. Obviously, there was a great save by Leno to make sure that he only scored the one goal, right? So he knocked it onto the bar. Great header, should have been in. Brilliant save from Leno. So he looks really good. 7 shots in the box. He created 3 chances as well. I mean, Tuchel said himself, right, he's come to play, not to be on the bench. I'd be very surprised if, say, there's 36 games left. If he's fit, he probably starts 32, 33 of them. I don't think he's going to be left out that much. And if that is the case, it makes the rest of the Chelsea players really difficult to call, by the way, because if he's in, and Chelsea fans always tell us how much Mason Mount needs to be in as well, there's only one spot for like Pulisic and Havertz and Werner and everyone else they've got on their book, Ziyech as well. So competition's going to be tough, but it looks like he's probably going to be quite nailed. The question is, right, do we need to get him in right now? The one concern that people have got is his price rise. Okay, that he's going to go up in price, so by the time you want him, he could be 11.8, 11.9, or even 12 million. Because if he keeps scoring, people will want him in. He's definitely on my watch list because, I mean, he always kind of was, right? He's a great player playing for a team that are going to create a lot of chances. But I'm still looking at those fixtures thinking I do not need to bring him in right now, okay? Yes, he did very well against Arsenal. Arsenal were without one of their first choice centre-backs in Ben White. I'm not saying Ben White would have coped with him any better, but this was Arsenal. And Arsenal haven't got off to the great start. They're also missing quite a few key players too, right? Liverpool away, I think Liverpool are going to cope with him a lot better. Now, he's a difficult player to play against, right? He's going to do well against any defender. But Van Dijk and Matip are not going to be pushed over as much as Mari and Holding, right, for Arsenal. So straight away, I think that's much more difficult. And everyone will say, I'm sure there'll be loads of comments, he can score against anyone. I fully get that, but we want to get players in that have got a chance of going kind of brace, 2 returns, 3 returns, whatever it might be. And I just don't see how that happens against Liverpool or Man City, right? Again, Chelsea will create chances in all these games, but they're like Diaz and Stones are going to probably cope with Lukaku a lot better than other defenders. So straight away, there's 2 games already. Spurs might have Romero in them. We don't know how they're going to cope, but I just look at those fixtures and I just don't see mega returns, and that's kind of what I want if I'm trying to fit in an 11.5 million player. Villa looks good in Game Week 4. Like, I would not disagree with anyone that thinks he's a great captaincy choice that week. But also in Game Week 4, Liverpool have got Leeds. We've already seen Leeds concede, 7 goals in the first 2 games. So Liverpool will get chances, and Salah's obviously in a lot of teams. And Man United have got Newcastle as well. So I just think you don't need Lukaku for captain that week. He's a great choice, but you've already got 2 other good choices in Salah and Fernandes, as long as they're fit and available to play. And so trying to like hurt the rest of your team to get him in, I'm just not so sure just yet. So he's on my watch list, but I still don't think I'm going to bring him in until Game Week 7. I know the price rises are a consideration, but for me, I'm probably just going to sell Fernandes. I'll just sell Fernandes to get him in. I think last year, and I'm not saying this year will be the same, in fact, there's a lot of players to choose from, but last year I did swap premiums when I needed to for whoever had the best captain potential, and I just don't know. Like, if I think about how to fit him into my team right now, I'd have to sell Mahrez and Gundogan, get Lukaku in. I'd have to go right down to like a 5.5, I think, and a 6 million midfielder alongside Ben Rama, who I've already got. It just feels like a lot of money taken out. Like, I'm looking at it and thinking Calvert-Lewin, who was on last week's watch list, like if I look at their fixtures, sorry, I'm just going to bring them up now. Brighton, Burnley, Villa, Norwich. Do I think Calvert-Lewin can match maybe outscore Lukaku in the next 4? I think I probably do. I just think the fixtures are that tough. So he's on the watch list. I'm not completely ruling out buying him this week. I'm not completely ruling out making some transfers so that I can get him in game week 4. And of course, he could score against Liverpool, Spurs and Man City. I'm just not seeing big returns in any of them apart from Villa, and therefore I might wait. Oh, Rafinha, do you think he'll ever forgive me? I mean, he was literally in pretty much every single, like literally in every draft from the start of pre-season right up until that final draft, which realistically is the only one that matters, but still massively frustrating. I'm not too concerned about his numbers not looking brilliant yet. 0.45 expected goals is probably actually okay. It tracks alongside roughly what he did last season. I'd like to see him get a few more chances created, but I'm sure that will come, right? And obviously the first game was Man United, so we can kind of write that one off because they didn't play well at all. And I am genuinely considering just bringing him in this week. Obviously, we've got the whole international stuff, which we're still going to have to wait and find out about. Realistically, the only thing we're really worried about is the quarantine when they come back. If they don't have to isolate, which they probably won't, I'm sure they'll come to some agreement where they don't have to miss matches, then he'll probably be fine because they play on Sunday at 2 o'clock and the game finishes in the morning on Friday, UK time. And look, they'll all be in private jets to get back anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Rafinha start. It's against Liverpool, 4:30 on Sunday in game week 4. And then from game week 5 onwards, the fixtures are pretty good. Like Newcastle, West Ham, Watford, Southampton. They're all fixtures where I would expect him to do well. And I feel like he is a bit of a set and forget. Like right now, I think I'm trying to like chill out with the moves that I've made, right? I made the Gundogan Mahrez call. It didn't work out, so be it. I can't keep dwelling on that for the whole season. But I do like the idea of just putting players in and leaving them in spots like this. And you just look all the way down to game week 10. Rafinha's fixtures are brilliant. And he's not someone that I have to worry about. And if I do wildcard, I can make the decision then whether to keep him in. And for 6.5 million, he just looks great. And I'm not too worried about Leeds and I mean, yes, they conceded 2 goals, but obviously from a defensive point of view, we don't care when we're buying attackers. They still scored 2 goals. Not worried about the Man United game. I'm sure they'll get back to winning ways against Burnley as well. And like I said, the Newcastle Watford fixture, etc., is great. So I'm thinking around other players at 6.5 million, and I still don't think there's any that are going to be as consistent as Rafinha. I spoke about on the deadline stream how I think he's actually still a little bit underrated as an option. So I am highly considering bringing him in this week. If I don't, I might wait until after the Liverpool game and just get him for Newcastle. But he's firmly on the watch list. When he scored that goal, it hurt. I need him in my team. Forget everything I said on the Capsy video last week. The fact that Jack Grealish has now started twice in a row. I know, look, I'm falling into the Pep trap that he's nailed, right? Because I don't think he is completely nailed. But I guess when you sign someone for 100 million, you're going to want to play them quite a lot. And the fact that he can play as an 8 or he can play on the left makes me think that he's going to start a lot for Pep Guardiola. Like, he likes players that can play in different positions. Obviously, once everyone's fit, it might be a different story, right? I mean, we even saw Mahrez get benched so that Jesus could play on the wing and Torres played through the middle. So trying to second guess Pep Guardiola is difficult. But what I liked about Grealish, and it was against Norwich, okay? So we knew they were going to get chances anyway. So maybe I'll wait a few more weeks before I make the decision. And obviously the Chelsea-Liverpool games 2 games in a row, game week 6 and game week 7 is not great. But the thing that I liked is it wasn't even that he scored, because, I mean, realistically, it just hit him and went in. He didn't know anything about it, really. Was just the position he took up. Like, when Sterling went to Man City, there was a lot of talk about how, I think it was about 50 million, right? He wasn't worth it. I thought there was glimpses at Liverpool where he looked brilliant, but Pep Guardiola turned him into that player that makes those late runs, gets in on basically the back post and scores tap-ins. And everyone jokes around, oh, he's just a tap-in merchant. Who cares? That's where you want your players. If you're getting chances right in front of goal, what better place to score a goal? So the fact that Grealish was there on that back post waiting for the ball was kind of encouraging. Now, I've got those fixtures because I'm still basing the fixtures on kind of last year. I think it's too early just to say that Arsenal defence is a walkover, right? But Arsenal and Leicester aren't easy fixtures, but we know that Man City are going to create loads of chances. And if Arsenal is still missing a bunch of players, that could be a great fixture. Bearing in mind that I might wildcard around game week 7 or 8 anyway, for the short term, I could just get someone like Grealish in. And again, I'll talk about my specific transfers on team selection, because there are a million different ways I can go this week. I mean, we've all saved a transfer so that we've got flexibility, but the problem is now it's created a headache in which there's so many different routes I can go for different players. I'm not quite sure yet, which is why I'm doing the watch list first. first, which I usually do because I'm thinking about all these players. So Grealish is firmly on there. I don't want to say nailed one. Look, I think there's different levels of nailed onness. Like, he's not Bruno Fernandes levels of nailed, but he might be close to like Kevin De Bruyne, who's going to start most games. And the fact that he's flexible, I think, is good for Pep, like I said, and making those late runs. And he's going to get chances and create chances in a team like Man City. And I think Arsenal and Leicester could be really good for him. So 8 million, I don't think he's going to stay at that price very long. Firmly on the watch list. So you know that GTA meme where it's like, oh, here we go again? I feel like that's the case with Adama Traore. At some point during the season, he becomes this option that we suddenly start looking at because he's looking good, he's got the fixtures, and he never performs. And I am slightly hesitant to kind of think about even going for him. Like, I was even hesitant to put him on this list. But you look at the numbers so far, and it's encouraging, right? I think Wolves are definitely one of those teams so far where the results haven't necessarily matched how they've played, right? So himself, just Traore, he's had 7 shots in the box and created 5 chances already. His expected goal is 1.45. That's really good. That's the same as Lukaku, obviously, but or very similar. But obviously, Traore's done it over 2 games. But you're not really worried about that. If he could keep that up all season, he's going to score quite a few goals. The fixtures are really good after Man United. Watford, Brentford, Southampton, Newcastle, Villa. There are plenty of goals in that for Wolves, right? He's only 1.2% owned. The big question is, can he start converting the chances that he gets into goals, right? That is the big question, and I'm just not sure he definitely can. He is playing on the left now, which is interesting because most of the time under Nuno he played on the right when he did play, and he looks to be fairly nailed on that left side. Again, we're only going off 2 games, but the Wolves team has been fairly fixed. So him on the left, Jimenez in the middle, and then Trincao on the right. Even he might be a better option than Traore, possibly for 6 million when the fixtures turn. But I like what I'm seeing so far. Now, on his finishing ability, I went back and looked at the expected goals versus goals from previous seasons, and really it's such a low number it probably doesn't matter. But he scored 7 goals from around 6.5, 7 expected goals. So that would tell me he's about an average finisher. But they are very, very low expected goals numbers compared to the amount of games that he's played, right? In those seasons, he's played like 29, 37 games. Yes, sometimes he's come on as a sub in those games, but he's played a lot of games and put up numbers which tell me he doesn't get into good positions. So I'm a little bit hesitant to kind of read too much into what we've seen so far. And the eye test tells me he's not a solid finisher whatsoever, right? He gets into really good chances, and I'm not saying one-on-ones are easy, but he does seem to kind of mess up a lot of the chances that he gets. But if you can keep putting up these high numbers per game, like 1.45 over 2 games is really good. If you can keep putting those numbers up, the goals will come. It just depends on whether he can start finishing his chances, basically. How much finishing practice is he doing in training? But for 6 million, potentially worth a punt before an early wild card. The only thing in the back of my mind is Sarr and is Harrison basically at Leeds, are they worse options than Traore, given that they also have some really nice fixtures coming up? Probably not. So it would be a punt, but for a few weeks, it might not be the worst one. Okay, so £4 million playing defender has to be on the watch list. What I would say is, a lot of the time when you speak about £4 million defenders, the first thing people say is they're not going to keep any clean sheets, they're going to get minus points. But the point of them is that they offer you the chance to spend more money elsewhere. And at certain times when they come on when you're least expecting it, because for some reason all your subs have missed out or you need all 3 subs on, you hope that they get you like 1 or 2 points. In FPL, it's not very often a player gets minus points. You pretty much have to be sent off early before you've got any attack and returns, or you have to like lose like 6-7-0, right? Okay, you could get a yellow card, you could concede 4 goals, you could go down to 0 -1. It doesn't happen that often. I mean, everyone thought that Spurs were going to get battered by Man United, and in terms of the actual result, it didn't happen. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to go and get loads of clean sheets. I don't think he's going to, and his attacking threat is probably not as good as people think it will be, or that maybe they've seen again from the eye test. But he feels like right now the 4 million that's got the most chance of starting. Now, Brandon Williams might still sign for Norwich. We'll have to see if he gets consistent starts. I think Duffy in the short term might be an okay option, potentially, for although he's gone up to 4.1 million now. Simicast is done. Amati might be okay because apparently at the time of recording this, Vestergaard's picked up an injury. I'm not quite sure the length of it yet. I'll talk a bit more about that on the stream. But Livramento long term looks right now, it could change, like the best 4 million option. So I don't think this is a player that I need to go out and buy straight away. But later on, if I wanted to either downgrade a 4.5 to get even more money into my first 11, or if I just needed to wildcard or switch Simicast to someone else just to get a starter for 1 or 2 weeks, then I think he's okay. Like, I'm looking at these fixtures. If I had him this week, I'd probably play him against Newcastle if I needed to. I think playing him against Wolves at home could be an option as well. And if he's going to keep his place, he's great value, right? It doesn't matter about all these minus points people think they're going to get. Southampton don't lose 9-0 every game, right? So no panic about that. He just looks like the best 4 million option. As it stands, things will change quick, I'm sure. There we go. That is it for this one. Make sure to give it a like if you enjoyed it and hit that subscribe button if you are new around here. I will be back later on today with a stream, basically the knee-jerk stream that I couldn't do yesterday, but it will almost certainly be before the Leicester-West Ham match because I don't want to be streaming at 10 o'clock at night. So probably at 6 or 6:30 tonight, I'll put up the stream when I can. I'll tweet about it as well. So keep an eye out for that. And then tomorrow we'll do transfer tips. Obviously, we'll have team selection and all the good stuff later on this week. If you haven't already checked out Patreon, there is a link in the description below. I don't think I've done the shout out for the new recruits yet. I think I was going to do it on the stream last night. So Leze, Charlie, Squiggly P and Seemar S, thank you for signing up. If you want to check out Patreon and all there is to offer, there is a link in the description below if you want to support the channel a little bit further. Otherwise, I'll leave it there. I'll see you tonight hopefully for the stream. Give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.